for those who don't know, GVart is they started probably beyond boutique at this point, but they're a creative boutique retailer and designer here in Cleveland, Ohio. They specialize in artwork and apparel, founded by the brothers themselves along with their father, George. And they've been doing really dynamic designs, and they've been artists since they were a very, very young age. And we'll get into that with George and Greg, of course, but the Etch-a-Sketch from an early age with George. And they use T-shirts as canvases, as you can see. And really, they have woven into the fabric, literally and figuratively, into the city of Cleveland and beyond. And it's a real pleasure to welcome them here, George and Greg Vlosich, here on Greenie Sports Cards Live. GVartwork Designer Apparel. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So, as I say, you guys got going at a very young age. I believe your father was influential as an artist and kind of introducing you to that. But kind of set the stage here from a very young age, you as brothers. When did that creative spark start, and how did that moment of realization come about where you guys realized, man, we're pretty good at this thing?
I mean,
I'll jump in first, Greg, and then you can.
Yeah.
We've been drawing since we were 2 years old. Our dad, recognized our talents at an early age, and we always were just, we get up in the morning. My dad was an artist, so he kind of saw that in us and really nurtured that talent. And we'd get up in the morning, draw and paint, and it was always a kind of a lesson going on of design, and so he was always kind of teaching us. And and again, for us, we love art, but we love sports too. So it was a good, growing up, we were drawing, in school, we get yelled at for drawing sports characters and guys and Michael Jordan and Rodman, and the teacher's like, oh, this isn't art. You can't draw art. You can't be doing this sports art and stuff. And, but we always, we did what we loved. So we're so blessed to be able to do that now still and continue that and together as a family as well. So.
And George was always, we joke around. George was art, sports. I was sport, art. I went to art school for 1 year. George went there for 5 years and graduated there. After 1 year, it was just a little too much art for me. So transferred to Cleveland State, ended up playing basketball there and still majoring in art. So, we've kind of throughout kind of had that balance of the George overly art, me overly sports, and it comes together really well because we both, love both of them. And so we're just, again, like you said, blessed to be able to kind of turn our two passions into a business and provide for our families. So it's fun, especially seeing it grow over the years.
Yeah, and in Cleveland, especially with the MLB license that you guys have, the city of Cleveland, the Guardian, some of the shirts and the guests that you have, the Down Goes Anderson shirts and the Quan, and I see that David Fry's now coming in a couple days with Tyler Freeman. Like those things are really something special in Cleveland that the community can share with the artistic development.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up as huge sports fans, and going to the games and making posters and getting those guys to sign them. And I feel like we're kind of doing the same thing now, just on a different level. But as fans, we realize what they want, and so it's great for us to be able to have grown that following, and like you said, use our shirts as another canvas, but then be able to really kind of give back and give fans a really cool experience. So we've done, probably 8 or 10 different signings, over the years. The first one we did was with Carlos Santana when he was in the Home Run Derby, the day of Home Run Derby, which was really cool. So that was a fun one. And then, we just did one with Quan and a couple other players last, 2 weeks ago. And then we have another one coming up this Thursday. So it's been a lot of fun to, continue to give the fans that experience, and really it's neat seeing some of these players and meeting these guys. We meet, Kluber and Brantley and all these guys their rookie year before they become stars, and then they're 2-time Cy Young winner and runner up for MVP. And, so it's cool building up relationships with these guys and getting getting to know them when they're young, and then, kind of as their career progresses.
It's funny. So Carlos Santana, I'll tell you a quick story. So I owned a bar in Akron, and when he played for the Rubber Ducks, he used to come. We were literally right attached to their parking lot. We had a hot dog vendor out there, and after every game, and he would just come up, have a couple hot dogs, and be on his way home. And couldn't have been a nicer guy, man. When they won the championship in Akron, it was pretty special. And they came up and hung out. So yeah, those guys, to be able to watch them, like you said, the Kluber, and watch them to win the Cy Youngs. I mean, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's that like for you guys? You've been doing this a few years now, long enough to see your shirts kind of proliferate into the marketplace. I've seen some posts along the way, Greg. I believe some of those are coming from you. Or when you walk into what was Jacobs Field or now Progressive Field or Brown Stadium, and you see people, masses of people walking by with your artwork, your shirts, your design, what is that feeling like, particularly the first time? And what is it like now seeing it grow and continue to expand?
Yeah, I mean, George has a funny story with seeing people, but I'll chime in a little bit too. We used to go to the games and count and have a little contest. So who can spot the most? And now I feel like we're up over 100 before we even get into the ballpark, which is, again, such a cool feeling. And just, again, you see the back tag in the section you're in, or you see, walking up the section, and, people are always stopping us now and telling us how much they enjoy our shirts. And so it's fun. We know, it's great to have built up that fan base and that audience. We started out of our parents' basement, and I remember opening up our first store in Lakewood, and we had no idea who was going to show up and if people were going to show up. And I remember, being a little bit, nervous, and okay, we've built up a following, but you don't know who's going to show up. And there was a line, a couple hundred people deep, all the way down the street. And so again, we've been really fortunate to have built up that, that audience and that fan base. And, now to see the people at the games wearing them, and every new launch, there's, a line of people waiting to get them, which is again, really awesome.
Yeah, in my story, we were driving down the street in Lakewood the one time, and we were just still kind of selling them out of our house. We had just opened up our shop, and I remember driving with my family, and one of the kids was like, "Oh, Dad, that guy's got your shirt on," and I'm like, "Oh wow, that's the first." I'm out and about, and I see someone wearing our shirt, and then he turns around, and I'm like, "Oh, that's our neighbor," So it's like, it still wasn't at that point yet, but it's really cool though. Again, to see what Greg, to kind of mark what Greg says, it's just really cool to see just people enjoying our work and our art, and appreciating our shirts. We do have a really good close following, and it's just really it's great. I mean, it's awesome to see.
It's fun. I always enjoy when we're on vacation, when we're in Vegas or we're in Turks and Caicos or wherever we're at. And it's like, you see somebody wearing your shirt and they're like, and then also on the reverse side, hearing stories of people who spot our shirts while they're on vacation on someone else. And it immediately turns into a conversation and they become vacation buddies and stuff because they both have on GV shirts. So we hear those stories all the time too. So it's always cool, when we're seeing them in other cities, or, you're watching the Guardians game in Anaheim, and I feel like every time they cut to the crowd, there was 2 or 3 people wearing our shirts, and that's, across the country. So that, that becomes really cool as well.
Probably when you see your name tagged on Instagram too, that's got to be pretty neat. Someone's wearing your shirt and they tag you on Instagram or social media in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's always awesome to see. And people are always very active, and we try to take the social media not too serious. I feel like I've gotten a little away from, poking fun at anything, recently, just because of how the times are. But, we try to have a little fun and make it more, sports talk and late night, Guardians games where we're live tweeting and stuff like that. So I feel like our fans know that we are diehard fans first and foremost. And, I think that's why our shirts transitions, translate so well to the other fans. I
think I even saw, it was a tweet last night that you were stuck in traffic on the way home from the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, we went to the concert.
Right? I mean, so it happens to everybody.
It was bad. It was a great concert. The logistics of getting to your seat and getting home was not good. I don't feel like didn't have anybody working it. I don't know. It was weird.
No, and I said, look, it's the first time. I mean, it's the rock and roll capital of the world. We couldn't figure that one out.
Yeah, right.
And Greg,
but yeah, the shirt too that you had
custom shirt for that too. I saw a Rolling Stones custom shirt you guys did.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one. That was, we do some like completely, unique creative ones, and then we do some really fun ones that are like, that pay tribute to different things. And it's always funny to see the response. But I mean, I had a couple hundred people stop me at the concert, asking us where we got our shirts and how do we get them. So we've learned to bring little GV $5 cards now, and my wife's dad loves passing them out. I don't pass them out as much, but he loves passing them out. So it's always a fun time. So yeah, that one's been well.
It may be fair to say your designs or your shirts might be like your children. It's hard to pick a favorite or pick one, but do each of you have one that you sort of lean into or got an unexpected response, something that might be one of your favorites if you had to categorize it?
You got one, Greg?
I think one of the most popular, or just kind of the most fun, the Team Cleveland one, where we kind of combined the mascots and logos of all teams kind of into a Team Cleveland guy, and it wasn't representing one team but everyone. I think that was cool, and it just has a kind of a unique spot in my heart anyway, because that was the launch of our first store. That was the hype up around it, and so everybody was coming in getting that shirt. So it has very fond memories. And then we actually launched the one that you have on your screen as when we opened our Willoughby store. It was like, all right, what's our next kind of version of that, and that type of thing. So I think that one's pretty fun. But it's always cool when you're teaming up with the team and the guys. The Young Guns one where they were all wearing it for the playoffs. You had literally the day of the playoffs, and Bieber's wearing it in the dugout, and the other guys are coming out wearing it. And, it's the night before the World Series, and MLB Network is down on the field in 2016, and the whole guys have on our One Thing Left to Do shirt. And so, there's certain ones like that just have like a very cool nostalgic feeling for me. And when I see that shirt, it makes me think of those memories of, the Guardians game and the Goon Squad and those type of ones. So those are the ones for me that kind of always have like a, special place.
So earlier we had Ray Schulte, who's the communications director of the National Collectors Convention. And I think some of these shirts are like collector's pieces now. And I know that people trade them. I've seen them. They're on eBay. And, I see you got the pictures behind you. Are there things like this that you guys collect sports wise, whether it's even just like an autograph on your shirt? Like, do you keep some of those?
Yeah, I mean, everything, growing up with doing the artwork and the Etch-a-Sketches, I mean, and it's funny because when I saw Ray was going to be on, Ray, my dad had probably contacted him, when I was probably 10 or 12 years old or whatever, and just getting started with the Etch-a-Sketches. And we would do the national show when it came to Cleveland, and just have a little booth and just show my artwork, and but I think for the autograph standpoint, I mean, I have just such a great collection of guys that have seen my work and autographed my work, from like Cal Ripken. He was one of the first athletes I met, and he brought me on the field and gave me his bat, so that was really cool. But guys like George Brett and Don Mattingly, I know he represented as well. Lawrence Taylor was the first athlete to autograph the Etch-a-Sketch. And that's kind of when I thought, like, wow, if Lawrence Taylor autographed it, why not other guys too? And I started doing sports stuff. And but from being on NBC Game of the Week with the Bulls, it was their 69th win here in Cleveland, and getting a chance to go back with Michael Jordan, Marv Albert, and Matt Lucas did the interview, but he autographed an Etch-a-Sketch, and Rodman and Pippen autographed an Etch-a-Sketch for me, and a team ball. I got a team ball signed by everybody. Muhammad Ali, I met when I was probably 12, 13 years old. And so, yeah, I have a good memories, but like, and even in the previous conversation you had, it was like, it's telling these stories, and it's so cool because the stories that I have to tell with the Etch-a-Sketch and these guys and the people growing up, and now to see where it's come, it's just really cool. And NBA Inside Stuff did a story, and they showed me, I was on, when the NBA finals were going on, and then they showed I was on when I was maybe a junior in high school. And I remember, watching the game and they pulled it up at practice. They knew I was going to be on, so they pulled it up at practice, but I was with the three Jays from the Mavericks, Jamal Mashburn, Jason Kidd, and Jimmy Jackson. And they autographed the Etch-a-Sketch for me. And it just like the stories, but like, they showed me, and they showed that old clip, and I just was a high school kid, and I just said, hey, they're like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I'm just like, I just want to do something with art and hope to be able to do something with sports too. And the fact that we're able to do it still, again, I know I already said this, but man, it's special for us. And because there's two things that we really enjoy and love. But yeah, the collections and memorabilia that I've collected through the years have been it's pretty cool.
The Etch-a-Sketch component is really a phenomenon, something that you can't really write that story. You can't really project it. It's something you kind of fell into, but it's taken you around the world. Interviews with Oprah and Jimmy Kimmel, and as you said, NBA Live. It really is. It's truly an art form, George. You found your calling with that at a really early age. What was that first experience like? I know I've heard the story, but share it with the viewers. Kind of when you realize this is also a thing. I can actually create art on an Etch-a-Sketch and do some really impressive things.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was fun for me because it was a challenge, and I had always been drawing and painting and stuff like that. But we were heading to Washington, D.C. when I was probably 10 years old, and my parents threw my mom's old Etch-a-Sketch in the car in the back seat, and I did the U.S. Capitol building. And, I remember pulling over to a gas station to take a picture of it because my dad couldn't believe I did that on the Etch-a-Sketch. And then I would send them into the company when I got back, because they'd have contests, and I'd send it into the company to see if, different competitions. And I kept winning. And finally they were like, all right, we're going to send somebody out to the house here to make sure you're actually doing these. And they came out and watched me do them. And then they brought a couple back with them that toured around in different museums throughout the country. And then they started sending me Etch-a-Sketches. So I was like, this is, again, something, for me, it was just it was a fun hobby. But my dad saw it as something unique and different and special. And again, it was an encouragement by him to kind of continue to do it and see the possibilities, because, we started our T-shirts with a campaign called One Town, One Team, One Dream. And we had never done a T-shirt before, and we all collaborated together. I did an Etch-a-Sketch of LeBron and posted it on YouTube, and it was up for Best Viral Video of the Year, by 2020, and World News Tonight, and it got like 1 million hits in a day, and that was when the old YouTube, and it just took off, and we did a shirt around it, and my dad wrote the rap song for it, and which is his passion. He loves to write music. We had a lot of fun doing the shirt, and we're like, oh, we should do more of this. And then, at the time, no one was really doing pro Cleveland stuff. And we thought, hey, we love Cleveland. We're going to stay here. This is our home. And especially with me, with art and opportunities elsewhere, my family's here, and that's the most important thing. So Cleveland was our home. And so it was probably 2008, I would say. And again, no one was doing pro Cleveland stuff. So we came up with a campaign called Cleve Land That I Love. And I remember Greg wearing the shirt out, and people were like, where did you get that shirt? And, there'd be some people like, you're going to do Cleveland stuff? And, who's going to buy that? And again, it's just really cool to see how it took off through the years, and how we've been able to, continue our business by doing pro Cleveland stuff.
And the business has really expanded from there. There's no doubt the Cleveland pride that we see and we share, but you've been able to take this into outside markets. Greg, touch on that, because it's not just Cleveland, but as George said, it started with one T-shirt that you guys had never done before, and now you're, I believe, in Buffalo and Denver and some other places. Talk about that expansion.
Yeah, so we always put Cleveland first, and that's going to be our bread and butter and our main thing. But we've had the ability to kind of, like you said, expand to different markets, which has been a lot of fun. So our shirts were in Dick's Sporting Goods, and they were doing really, really well. And so they kind of wanted us to take some of what we're doing in Cleveland and kind of, do that in some other markets. And so we picked 4 or 5 different kind of NFL cities to do that with over the last 2 years. And those have been going really well. And then, another big component of our brand is just last year we got Ohio State licensing. So we now, are doing some really cool Ohio State stuff. And we just went down to Columbus a couple weeks ago and had an awesome meeting with them. And they're excited to kind of see us take what we're doing on the Cleveland level and with a lot of the athletes and kind of start doing that with some of the NIL guys. So, I feel like the NIL market hasn't really been tapped into yet. So that's something that we've put a bunch of really cool designs together. And that's something, moving forward that we're going to do. So, yeah, so it's been fun to just kind of go in other markets. And, with social media now, if you have a cool enough shirt, you can kind of hit in any city, any market, and it'll take off, which is, a lot of fun to see. So I think people anywhere kind of recognize that. And it's neat to see too, our fans really support us. And, if we launch a shirt for Buffalo or forever, they're tagging their Buffalo friends and their friends and saying like, hey, I buy all their Cleveland shirts. You guys gotta, you guys got lucky. They're doing some shirts for your city now. So, go check it out. So that's always cool to see.
Do you take commission projects?
Yeah, we do commission stuff all the time. I know George, with the Etch-a-Sketch and the artwork does commissions all the time, but that's the other thing is people don't really necessarily see, they see, the 10 shirts a month we're launching, but they don't see the 20 others that we're doing for client projects. So we work with, Progressive and Goodyear, and we've done probably 40, 50 different shirts for Barrio. And, so all these different clients that we work with and charities. So that was kind of when we got started, that was our main thing is, okay, we really want to team up with Cleveland businesses and charities. And that's something now that we've had the ability to do. And, we've worked with hundreds of charities and hundreds of Cleveland businesses. So, that's a goal on our list is to kind of highlight some of the clients that we're working with. We just get kind of busy.
Sure. Yeah, I know. So the shirt that I'm wearing, our friend Sean Crawford, who St. Ed's as well, came to you and said, we're doing this event for the women's basketball team. And this shirt here, and, the Never Give Up. And I mean, even Hannah Hidalgo has been wearing it since that event. And, it's different projects like that with the NIL that it will resonate with some of these kids and the college athletes.
Yeah, we're excited to do it. Like you said, we've done it with the pro athletes and now, the college guys. And some of the talks early on are like, well, this guy might not want to do it or he might not opt in and stuff. And then once they kind of see the design, they really come around to it. And it's like, oh, okay, this isn't my name and number on a shirt like all these other companies are trying to do. This is like, really cool. And I think that's from the beginning. We've always tried to tap into what makes each player unique. So, you go to a Guardian, an Indians game, and you'd see 500 yellow shirts in the stands because Clevenger was pitching, and it's this bright gold shirt we did. And so we have always kind of tried to go outside the box and really kind of, tap into what again makes the player cool and unique, or what he's passionate about. So when we first teamed up with Nick Chubb, no one really knew he was into Batman, and I remember his agent going like, "Hey, he's a big Batman fan," and we're like, "Okay, like." Let's try to do something cool. So we did a kind of Batman themed Dawn is Coming shirt with Nick Chubb. And it's so funny now that like, it's the most known fact in Cleveland now is that Nick Chubb is a Batman fan. So I think we always have fun with those and really kind of, again, trying to tie in what, and get the player behind it. Cause it's something unique that they haven't really seen before too. So
you guys have been so prolific. As you said, public is seeing 10, 15, 20 shirts a month. You've got all these other projects. I'll point this towards George first. Where does that artistic vision start? When you're taking on a project or you get a spark of an idea, how do you then wrap your arms and literal hands around that to get the design into some form?
Sure. Well, yeah, I came from the advertising background, and I worked in an ad agency as an art director for 10 years before, starting kind of what we do now. But my dad was always in advertising, so we go on vacation, we go into Baltimore, watch the Indians play, and go into the stores there, and we critique shirts, and we critique billboards, and we're driving on vacation, and what would you do different here? And so we were always kind of being taught and just always looking at stuff in a different way. And so I think also too when I was first in art school, the computers were just kind of getting out, coming out, and kids would just get on the computer and try to make things look pretty. And my dad's like, no, that's not where the idea starts. He's like, you gotta think of the idea first, and work on it, and pencil and paper and sketch it up, and then go to the computer and polish it. So that's kind of how it's always this is just stuff, and it's constant, just doodling stuff always of it's right here on my desk. So we're sketching first and then developing the idea that way, and then going on the computer and trying to perfect it. So that's kind of how it starts and how it ends too.
Well, and people always say like, oh my gosh, you guys are so fast, or oh, you got so I feel like we have probably, I don't know, 100 designs on our computer right now, just waiting for the right time. And okay, when's, we realize things are about timing, and oh, if this player has a walk-off, we'll launch it then, and that type of thing. So there's hundreds of shirts we probably never launched, which would be fun at some point to kind of, open up the vault and let people see some of these shirts. We did a Josh Donaldson shirt when he joined the team, and then we ended it, it didn't end up launching it. We were waiting for a big homer, so we have all these shirts throughout the years of like, all right, this is ready to go. This is ready to go. Just waiting for the right time, but also realizing, it is about timing. And so, people always are like, oh my gosh, that was so fast. But a lot of times we're just, prepared and also fans. So we're watching and we're in tune with what's going on as well. So
it is fast though, because Greenie alluded to it before. You can't plan for Jose Ramirez punching a guy in the face at second base and down goes Anderson. So you guys, you're present and you react in the moment as well.
Yeah, and that one's funny because we did shirts with Joe Thomas for his Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, I think that's the other.
Oh, he's got it on now. All right. So we were actually he invited us to the Hall of Fame induction and then his after party down in Canton. So we're there. We're on the dance floor with Joe, living it up. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock, and all of a sudden my phone is blowing up, and I'm like, "What is going on? What is going on?" And we have a group message going where everyone is freaking out, going nuts, and so that's when the punch happened. And so we drove home at 1 a.m., from Canton, and the whole trip home, we're like, all right, what can we do? What would be fun? How are we going to do this? And so there's those times where, we always say we don't have to be first. Let's make sure ours is best. Cause there'll be people that'll have one out in 5 minutes and it's not any good, but they want to be first. So we'll take our time. We'll make sure it's how we want to do it. And we'll go back and forth. But this was the one time with George the next day, he's like, I'm busy. I got this. I'm like, I don't care what you have. I'm like, this is one moment where you whatever you have, take off the next 2 days and take care of that. But we got to get this one done right now because, it was just such a iconic, moment and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to winning a Game 7 in the World Series and seeing your shirt at the end of that game.
That would be awesome. And we got probably 5 designs from when they were in Game 7 last time that I think we're probably still ready to go. So when they do, we'll have plenty of designs ready to go.
They will, but as Cleveland goes, it'll be something totally different that we're not prepared for, and you'll have to make something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll take that too. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't wait, man. That 2016 team. I mean, it should have happened. It didn't happen. I'm sure there was some sort of rain delay shirt that you had, but when it does happen, it's going to be special here, just like the championship for basketball, like baseball and football. This is what this town is.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cavs one was unbelievable, and we had lines literally. We opened the next day, and we had a line from 7 a.m. until 1 a.m. the next later that night. We went for 20 straight hours or whatever it was, in a line. And our printer, every 2 hours, our printer was dropping off more shirts, just trying to keep up. So, the night before the parade, everyone was there. And I remember going and getting water bottles and passing them out to the people who were in line for a couple hours waiting to buy our shirts and stuff. And we were just, like I said, getting them in every couple hours from the printer. So that's Cavs. I think Browns will be an even bigger beast, the whole nother level that hopefully one day.
None of us can prepare for that.
Yeah, something. So.
Yeah. Haley, if you can throw up those shirts again, and you guys tell us where people can find you on the website. She was showing some shirts on GVartwork.com. But let everybody know where they can find your stores, both in person, online, and then on social.
Go ahead, Greg.
So we have 3 stores right now. We have our main ones in Lakewood, and then Willoughby. And then our newest one, the last couple of years, is in Avon. So we have 3 store locations, and then you can follow us on social at GVartwork, and we're always posting cool stuff. And like I said, actually, it's in 1 minute. I'm launching our new player signing VIP thing. So we're gonna have that going for Thursday, and we got a couple other signings throughout the year. So always fun stuff going on.
Yeah. So it's David Fry and Tyler Freeman coming this week, right?
So Freeman's coming this week. Fry had something come up, and I got a call as we're finishing up the artwork and they're starting to print it that he's not able to make it Thursday. So Tyler Freeman's coming, and then hopefully we'll get to reschedule him throughout, at some point throughout the year. So
very good. Yeah, we can't wait for that.
Guys, we really appreciate you joining us this evening. We appreciate all you do for Cleveland, for what you've done for us, for our family. I think there's a Les Levine shirt floating around there somewhere in the background, but yeah, maybe.
Well, it was special time, special for us too, Jeremy. I mean, with your dad, he was one of the first guys in shows that I was on with More Sports with Les Levine, and just interviewing me for my Etch-a-Sketches, and again, we've throughout the years, I think people realize now we've been doing this for a long time, but it's definitely something. It's a passion of ours and love.
Yeah, well, it resonates with us personally and the town. There's a lot of passion. We don't have to tell you guys this here. This is a sports town. There's a lot of passion here. People who stay and live here love Cleveland. They love the city. They get behind it. You guys have had that visceral experience, and we just wish you continued success and keep this thing rolling, because as Steve said, first and foremost, these are really comfortable shirts, but the art takes it to a whole other level, and we're proud to know you guys and proud of what you do for Cleveland.
And I'll be first in line when we win that Super Bowl or the World Series. I'll take either one. I'm
absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate the support.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's George and Greg Vlosich from GVart Design. Just incredible stuff, incredible story.